Littleton Public Schools is a dynamic and highly respected district serving approximately 13,000 students. The LPS Toddcast with Superintendent Todd Lambert is a venue for us to tell you all about the news, initiatives, events, and people who make up the LPS story.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second year of the Toddcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jonathan Levesque, and we're ready for another year of a lot of fun-filled times with this podcast. John, what do you think?
I can't believe summer's over and we're back at school.
Yeah, it is hard to believe summer's over, but before we get going on our first podcast of the 25-26 school year, I just want to say welcome back. It's been such a smooth start. We want to thank our families, our students, our teachers, and all staff members in our schools for getting us off to a great start for the 25-26 school year. But for today, we have some special guests, and I'm going to turn it over to John to tell you a little bit more of what's going on.
We do have special guests. We have two fifth graders from Wilder Elementary. We have Arina and Reid.
Hi.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Before we get started, we do have an icebreaker, and they've brought some really good questions. So I want to get through the icebreaker and get to the good questions. So for everybody here, I'll start with Arina. If you had to eat a food every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It would be steak because it's my family's favorite meal, and it feels like it's also my favorite day.
Perfect. I would love steak.
Oh, I got to ask, what kind of steak do you like? Do you have a preference?
I would say ribeye steak.
That's my favorite too, Arina. Excellent choice.
Reid?
I would say like a turkey burger, because regular burgers can have like the variety of cooking. But with a burger, you got carbs, you got protein, you got vegetables.
Boy, they get such smart kids.
I know, they're really thinking smart. I was going to say Oreos. What about you?
Applejack cereal. I am a unsupervised child of the 70s, and so I took on my addiction to sweet cereal way early, and I've just not been able to kick it. So if I have to pick one thing that I would eat every single day, I would have to think it'd be a big bowl of Apple Jacks.
Interesting.
Wow.
All right. Well, we'll turn it over to you guys and talk about some of your questions and ask us all the questions you have.
All right. And we'll just take turns answering? Or are
Yeah.
these aimed at me, or how do you guys want to do this?
We'll just ask you if you have questions for us, we can respond. We should just have like a free-flowing conversation.
That sounds great.
Sounds
Reid.
great.
Let's do it.
Okay, so our first question for you is, how long does it take to restore like old, outdated schools in the district?
Yeah, it's a great question. It depends on how old and outdated the school is, right? And I'm not trying to be flippant with the answer, but some would take more than others. So, for example, if we have to replace heating and cooling systems or plumbing systems, it's going to take a lot longer than if all we have to do is paint or put new doors on or similar things like that. So again, it's going to hinge on just what the needs are inside the outdated school. And we've had some experience with this. We've closed a few schools, turned them into some other things. I think about East Community Center. I think about the work we're doing at Peabody and Twain. Thankfully, we didn't have to go back in and have big expensive rehauls because plumbing and electricity and all that is a big lift for that. So again, it just depends on what's needed at the school.
Okay.
Thank you. How do you ensure schools are running effectively?
That's a great question. Well, one of the things we do, the way our system is set up, as you know, you have Mrs. Reinert as your principal. We have principals at each of our locations. We work directly with them and monitor what's happening at the schools and talk with our principals about their leadership. We meet monthly with all of our principals and all of our building leaders. And that's an opportunity for district leaders like Jonathan and others that are on our team to talk about what's going on in the schools and to provide help in any way we possibly can. I don't want you to think we sit here necessarily, you're doing great and you're not doing great. What we really do is ask them what they need. And then our job as a central office team is to serve our schools and support them.
Nice.
That's one of our favorite things to do, too.
Back to you, Reid.
Okay. How long have you been working with LPS, and why did you choose to be the superintendent?
Oh, that's a great question. One of my favorites. Okay, so this is my third year in LPS. And, I started out, I was a fifth grade teacher, and I know you guys are both in fifth grade, right? Fifth grade rules.
Yep.
And I started out as a fifth grade teacher, and I never thought I would really do anything other than that. I loved it so much. I got to work directly with the students. And then someone that I respected said to me, you got to think about maybe being an assistant principal and then a principal. So I was an elementary school principal for 8 years, and I didn't think I would do anything other than that. And then another person came and said, have you ever thought about working at the main office? And you can see how this is going, right? And so at some point, as my two children, I have a 25-year-old and a 23-year-old, as they started to get ready to come out of high school, I recognized that being a superintendent was something that I aspired to do, mainly because I like big picture thinking. I like to have impact across an entire school system. And I would have to tell you, even on my toughest days in LPS, it is still an amazing job that I love and love to come to work each and every day.
Nice.
I would love to jump in on this one too, just because I have my fellow Wildcats here. I also went to Wilder and then Goddard and then Littleton High School, but I've been with the district working here for 16 years. So I've seen a lot more history than Dr. Lambert has, but we've gotten him up to speed on all the fun things that we do here at Littleton. But I am really proud of my heritage in LPS schools and then the longevity that I've had here.
Nice.
And I think Jonathan brings up a good point. If you walk around this building, you'll find many LPS alumni here. People love to live here, love to come back, and they work for us.
Yeah. How long have you been living in Colorado?
This is my second time in Colorado. In 2010, our family moved to Fort Collins, and I worked for the Poudre School District up there. I was a curriculum director, assistant superintendent, and eventually interim superintendent. And then in 2021, our daughter was a freshman at Indiana University. We made a decision to go back home. We're originally from Indiana, and I worked there for 2 years, but then this job came open. And this is a dream job for someone who likes to be a superintendent, getting to work, like Jonathan said, with such a great team and a great place. And so we made a decision as a family to come back to Colorado for that. So this is my second time here for a total of, this is my 14th year in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where does the funding come from for schools, programs, districts, etc.? And how much funding do schools need yearly?
You know, I would love to answer that question, but we have an expert right here. Jonathan is our chief financial officer for the district. And so he makes those decisions, understands how funding takes place, and I think he would do a much better job of explaining this. So I'm going to put him on the spot.
I love this question. Thank you for asking it. We have a 3-tiered system that we get funding from the state, local property taxes, and then also a special ownership tax. So I know there's a lot of different information, but it comes from different areas around the state and then our local area, like I said. And then when individuals buy cars, that's that special ownership tax. A small piece comes from that. So then our total budget for the general fund is $198 million annually. So that's how much it takes to run all of our schools, all of our programs, our buses, our food service, everything in the district is within that $198 million.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, can I also mention something about my friend here that does this work? It's not easy running school finance, right? I mean, we never have enough money. It seems like we can never do the things we want to do. And having someone like Jonathan, who went to school here, whose family lives here, whose roots are here, it's really personal to him. And he puts a great deal of care into the decisions that go with money. It's not impersonal, it's very personal. And I just appreciate about that. Jonathan, I just appreciate that in you. I just want to mention that. Well, I get you a special plug here.
Now we're switching to some fun questions. What is your favorite subject?
Oh, can we both answer that one?
Yes.
Okay.
My favorite subject is math.
How about you, Arina?
Mathematics.
Jonathan?
I liked math.
That stands to reason. You're good with numbers.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the different one. I grew up in a house with my mom was an elementary teacher. Okay, so do you guys ever do the book orders, like scholastic book orders in your class? You know what I'm talking about, where you get to buy each month and do that? So one of my favorite things when I was little is my mom did the Scholastic and Arrow book orders, and teachers would get a few extra books, right? I mean, with their class, because all their class would turn in their stuff. And so my mom would always let me make those decisions on books I wanted. And from a very early age, because of my parents, my favorite subject is and will always be reading and writing. I love that work, and I think it has a lot to do with just the house I grew up in. I love math, not as much as reading.
Wow.
We all have our strengths.
I appreciate your help.
Yeah.
How do you monitor for snow days?
Yeah, and I will let our audience know, we actually did a Toddcast last year that was strictly devoted to how we call snow days. So I'll do a more brief version here for you. We pay attention to the weather during the day. So let's say right now we were in the middle of January and we saw the clouds coming in over the mountains and we were looking at the forecast on TV and had some indications that it was going to snow. We'll start talking, me, the Chief Operations Officer, Mr. Brad Leitner, our Director of Transportation, Ms. Marcy Phelps, and we'll have a conversation right before we go home for the day to say something like, hey, let's check in with each other at 7 o'clock tonight, maybe 8 o'clock. We'll see what the weather's done, and then we'll start to make decisions. And the first decision we have to make is, are we going to decide before we go to bed? Which is always advantageous for our families, right? They have to make arrangements, and we recognize that snow days can inconvenience families. So we try to make the decision as early as we can, but most of the time it's too early to make that call. We need to see how the weather's going to go overnight. So at about 3:45 a.m., Mr. Leitner and his transportation team will get in communication with the city of Littleton, the city of Centennial, and they'll ask the city workers, what do the roads look like? If they're snow covered, how long will it take to clear them? We'll pay attention to what the forecast is looking like. And then we'll make a call at about 4:15 a.m. is when we usually make that decision. I'll usually pop up about 4, turn the TV on, see what we're up against, see what happened in the 4 or 5 hours since I've been asleep, and then we'll make a call. And that's ultimately my call to make. And it's not perfect. Colorado is a real difficult state to make these kind of decisions in because the weather changes so quickly, so dramatically. I think most of the time we get it right, not always, but we sure do our best.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does LPS have like an exchange student program at all?
Yeah, we sure do. A lot of us that are older here, Jonathan knows this, we had exchange students that we went to high school with. We still do that. We find families that are willing to host a student from another country. And I believe, I'm not positive on this one, but I also believe that's an opportunity available to our students to another country, right? That cuts both ways. But we absolutely have exchange students that we welcome with open arms to LPS.
Nice.
I have to think, when I was in high school, I don't know if you went to high school with exchange students, but
yeah, there's a few.
I think about one guy from Germany that was on our football team, right? Mm-hmm. And he had never played any kind of football before. He was a soccer guy, but boy, could he kick. His name was Helmut, ironically, for a football team. And he came on and joined our team. It was a great way for him to socialize, and he ended up doing some kicking for us. And what a great way to get into society. I don't know if you had any experiences with foreign exchange students at Littleton High School.
Not too much, no, but just hearing their stories and their backgrounds was really interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a good idea, is joining their team is a good way to, like, get used to the people there.
Oh, for sure.
Here. This is like the last question. This is the big one.
And our last question is, what is your opinion on public schools versus private schools?
Well, I'm going to try to, if I understand the question correctly, you're talking about which one do I think works the best, maybe, or how do I feel about them? You have to understand, I'm a superintendent, a proud superintendent of a public school system. And my family have been public school educators for many years. My mom taught 35 years. My dad worked 38 years, all in public education. With that being said, since I've been in Colorado, I've had a lot of opportunity to work with charter schools and other private schools. And here's what I think. I'm proud of our public schools, and I believe that we're great. We serve our families. But I also know that families have to make decisions about school that are very personal. And so we support them in whatever decision they make and whatever they think is best for their own children, because we know parents are our children's most enduring teacher, right? I mean, they were with you before the teachers, and they're going to be with you after the teachers. However, we want to put a plug in because we think our public schools in Colorado are excellent, particularly LPS.
Nice.
Yep.
Those are some good questions, guys.
That's about
Wow.
it.
Why don't we ask you some questions? Is that okay just for a second?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so what do you guys do? Arina, what do you do for fun?
Well, I play tennis.
Okay.
I figure skate.
Okay.
And I love to do math and read.
You really like math. I like that. How about you, Reid?
I like playing basketball, tennis. I love chess. That's like my favorite board game.
Right.
Yeah. I like to write a lot, like write random stories.
So do you play center on your basketball team? You're pretty tall for a fifth grader.
Yes.
Yeah, I could tell.
Or, well, on my basketball team, I'd play like a power forward.
Outstanding.
There's one kid who's so tall and like, yeah.
Right. But you're coming down that baseline and sinking some shots?
Yeah.
Outstanding. All right. Do you guys have a favorite teacher at Wilder? Maybe, just you could put a plug in for some teacher you're really proud of?
That's tough.
Okay.
So she left last year, but Miss Hogue was really nice. Miss Basner, also Miss Hawthorne, maybe Miss Miller. I've only had her for a few weeks, but she seems pretty nice.
That's nice. How about you, Arina?
Well, my third grade teacher, Mrs. Guthrie. Well, I loved her, even though she was really strict, like to the boys especially. But I feel like she always shown us how much she loves to teach.
Right.
And then my fourth grade teacher was Miss Basner, and she was always trying to get us all hyped up, ready, ready.
Of course.
And then now Miss Hawthorne is my homeroom teacher. I mean, I love her, and then she teaches me a lot of new stuff. But Miss Miller, she's pretty great for math, and she knows me really well.
I bet they're really proud of you. Yes. That's nice of you to put a plug in. Very good. All right. Well, I'm going to shift gears, and you're sure welcome to stay here on the set, but we're going to talk a little bit about the future. One of the things that I want to remind our audience about is that we take audience questions, and those were great last year. Now, we don't have any this year because it's our first Toddcast of the year, but we want to remind you that you can submit questions on topics or things that you're interested in, and we can try to address those during our Toddcast. John, where do they find that information? How are they able to do that?
Yep. So they can find that on the superintendent's website, and there's a form that they can fill out. Remember, you can ask questions, you can do staff shoutouts, or give us suggestions for topics. We're always looking for new topics, just like this amazing one that we talked about today with our Wilder fifth graders. Okay,
very good. Well, I just want to mention some good news in LPS. One of the things we like to do on this Toddcast is when something really special happens in LPS, we take advantage of that and use this format to share that experience. And in this particular case, we have a great one, and it's great that you're here for this one. Did you know that our finance department received the Meritorious Budget Award? That comes from ASBO. That's the International Group for Business Officers, and this is the 29th consecutive year that our finance department has won that award. And I think that's a testimony to the great work you guys do down there and the people before you too, right? Yes. I mean, there's a lot of legacy there of school finance officers and support staff. And I think this is an award that speaks to the entire department, not just one or two people. You want to just comment on this one?
No, yeah, you're spot on, right? The entire department down in finance supports the district in good fiscal health. Mm-hmm. And like I've said, I'm starting my 16th year here. So this has been going on for a long time before that. We're just continuing being good stewards of taxpayer dollars.
It never gets old winning those awards, does it?
No, it is nice. Yeah.
Very good. Well, I know you have some upcoming events to share with everyone.
I do. So we have a parent and staff workshop on September 18th. Okay. That is at our ESC here, the evening of the 18th. And they can get some student or helping students build focus, routines, and time management. So that sounds good. Look at our website for the times on that one.
Okay.
We also have our Community Resource Expo at East Community Center on September 27th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come out and have some good food, some games, and resources and fun.
Okay.
Lastly, we're having an election this year for our Board of Education. 3 seats are up. Upcoming is our board forum, and we have 2 of those. Check our website for details, but the League of Women Voters are hosting one at the ESC at the main building here on October 1st.
And I believe that's 6:30 to 8 o'clock if I saw that come across my desk.
Thank you for that information. Mm-hmm. And then DAC is hosting one, our District Accountability Committee is hosting another one on October 15th, and I believe that's 7 to 9.
7 to 9, that's right.
Yep, at the ESC as well.
Very good. Well, as we wrap this Toddcast up, the first one of the year, I want to thank Reid and Arina for being here. You guys have excellent poise for 5th graders, and we just appreciate you coming here. And I think this is the second time we've had students on the Toddcast. The first time we had a high school student. He did a great job. In fact, the episode he was on, we won an award for, so no pressure there to raise the bar. But we just want to say thank you. You guys have been awesome guests for us, and we look forward, next time I'm at Wilder, I look forward to getting in your classroom and looking you up, okay?
Thank you for having us.
Oh, for sure, for sure. John?
We have one last closing question. what are you looking forward to as you're moving into fifth grade, or have you already started fifth grade? What are you looking forward to in fifth grade?
I would say learning new topics, and like since we were in fourth grade, I feel like we were like doing like the simple stuff, but in fifth grade, I feel like we can like get amped up and like do much more stuff.
Very cool.
I am excited for like our grade is doing a lot more things like for the community, like we're doing a river cleanup. And I've always felt like strongly about those things, so I'm really excited.
That's great, giving back to your community. We appreciate you being here. I just want to remind our guests that you can subscribe to the Toddcast. So we really appreciate you for joining us for episode 1. But we also are going to have episode 2, and we're really excited about this topic. It's going to be with the Littleton Public Schools Foundation. And I think a lot of people don't recognize what our foundation does for our students and our staff. So we'll have Steph Carroll, the executive director of the foundation, on, and maybe even a few other surprises that day, and we'll really illuminate the great work that they do next time we're together. So we want to remind you, if you have questions regarding the LPS Foundation, what they do, what they contribute, make sure you get those sent in to us. And John, I'm going to have you send us off.
Great job, guys. That was amazing.
Thank you.
And keep learning. Thank you.